Hi there, I'm Gadget Girl, and this is going to be a demo of my random Hive script, which is a figure randomizer. I'm not going to go through every single feature and button. Those are detailed in the user manual, along with some of how the randomization works. I'm just going to kind of show you a couple things to give you an idea of what it can do and what kind of workflow it has. So I'm going to start. I've already preloaded several figures here with different sets of morphs. We're going to start with this particular Dawn. We'll go ahead and we will take a look at her face because that's what we're going to randomize. And I should talk about what she has on here. I should go to her body. You don't have to do that to run the script. I'm just doing it so you can see a lot of the morphs. So I've loaded Virtual Worlds Faces of Africa morphs on her, which you'll notice has 50 individual head shapes and a lot of other shapes as well. And then I have some of the other morphs that are required, the base morphs. I believe head shapes is one of the required ones for it. So lots of morphs. I'm going to go to Scripts, Gadget Girl, and Random Hive, and that's going to bring up my window. Now, there's a bunch of things I can choose from here. For now, I'm just going to do all head and face, and that's actually going to work on and potentially randomize all of these. I say potentially because it depends on a couple things. If I put in a low number like 1, I've got a forked tongue, which we can't see at the moment, but it's affected her nostril width, her ear shape, and her lips. So it didn't affect much. For instance, her eyes weren't touched at all. But it does go across and potentially randomizes any of these. Now I'm going to click Undo Morphs. In this case, and you probably couldn't tell too much what it did there, in this case it's going back to a 0 figure because that's where I started from. But let's go to a bigger value of 10 that we can probably see better. Oh, there we go. That's an interesting face. I kind of like that. So now you can see we've had a lot of morphs in here. Now again, for instance, I think I saw, yeah, the fangs. I could go through, I could go over here, and I could easily find, even though I don't have her mouth open, we could find those fangs and say, we don't want fangs. So that helps you find and get rid of individual morphs you may not want. But let's say, I'm not too fond of her nose there, but I like a lot of what else is going on with this. So what I can do now is I can say I want a different nose, and I'm going to start with 5. And when I hit apply, it's going to ask me if I want to zero the morphs. Now, if I do that, it's only going to zero out the nose. And so it's basically going to start the randomization from Dawn's base nose shape. If I say no, it's going to start as if this shape and these whatever nose morphs have been applied is the default one. I'm going to say yes, I do want to zero them for now. Now, we still kind of got a pointy nose. And that could also have to do with maybe the face shape. Now, if I do undo morphs now, you'll notice that her nose changed, but it kept what I had before I last randomized. And that's going to be one thing you'll see with this is you can always go back one step. Obviously, you can zero the whole figure, but it'll have that built in. So this time we're going to do both face shape and nose. And I can see right now it's talking about the face shape, and you know what? I don't want to zero the morphs first on the face shape. It's a nice face shape. We can start from there. On the nose, yes, I do. So it definitely got her a tinier nose. And I can go up here. Here are the face morphs that were done. And let's look at her from the side. She sure has. Oh, you know what? It's probably either the hag or the head aged, I'm guessing, that's doing that to her nose. That's one thing that's tricky if you're using a lot of morphs, is sometimes finding the one. That's not where I want to be. Let's go to body. Finding the one that's creating the shape if you're not familiar with what you've got. Yep, there we go, head hag. So if we put that at 0. Oh, look at that. Totally changed her face there. She's pretty cute. And that's a good thing to remember, is that sometimes the full head can make drastic differences to the rest of the figure. Sometimes it doesn't. So that was actually a really nice example of that. All right, So real quick, we're going to go through the other script that comes with Random Hive. It's called Morph Clean Bot. So here we have a Dawn figure we've made, and you'll notice we've got some of these creature morphs, but there's a lot of morphs we're not using at all. So what we can do to clean things up a bit is if we go to Morph Clean Bot, we've got three options. For the moment, we're going to choose morphs with a 0 value. So that's going to affect any of these morphs that are set to 0. We're going to say OK. And you'll notice we have a much cleaner list now. Now, it doesn't get rid of expressions. So, for instance, if you'd started posing your character, if you'd started doing expressions, those would still be here. Oh, that was extreme. And so, again, though, we can now tweak some of these morphs if we want, but we've gotten rid of all of that clutter, which if you've added a lot of morphs is pretty useful. The other thing we can do is if we decide, you know what, I want to set everything to 0, I just want to start again, we can do that. But it will leave her posed if she's posed. It'll leave behind expressions. So rather than 0 the figure, if you started doing something, this will just 0 out any morphs, but it'll leave Dawn posed or Dusk so that you don't lose any posing you've done. Finally, we can do one more thing. We can go here. We can choose to get rid of, to remove all morphs. And so that is going to simply get her back. So she does have any control. She has expressions, but you'll notice now I no longer have all those morphs here. So if you just wanted to clean out any morphs you've added, this is a way of doing that, kind of like a master remove file. Now we'll go to Dusk. On Dusk, I have added this character set from CWRW, and that has 4 different characters in it. And just like we saw that Hag head affect a lot of Dawn, you'll notice that if I run up this Jackson morph to 1, it actually changes both his head and his body. And then down here, there's an option for just doing the body and just doing the head. So here, I'm going to zoom in on him a little. There's no reason to have all these guys, and we'll even do this just for the sake of Dusk's modesty, because his briefs don't always quite randomize the way we want, or don't always follow the other morphs the way we want. We'll do that for him. What I was trying to say, though, is it's good to know that full body morphs may affect the head shape. So if you're going to do full body morphs, I would recommend doing them first and refining the head later. So if I go here and I choose full body morphs, and let's say 10, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so we can see that changed, certainly changed things in the chest area. You could sort of see him move. I've got a whole list of things out here, including muffin top, although that's not obvious with everything else. But that Joe body was moved in, but not the Joe head. So I don't think really his head, that looks pretty close to Dusk's sort of default head. Oh, but the Jackson full body, that would have, if we go over here, yeah, you can see that, so his head's been altered a little. Now, I'm going to undo that, and this time we are again going to randomize him, but we're going to turn on asymmetry. And what I want to show you with asymmetry, there we go, gastric flex L. So, close this window, and we are going to find, is that in the abdomen? Seems like it would be to me, maybe not. Well, here, bicep flex. I know that's in the arms. So, we will track that one down. There we go. So you'll notice that both bicep flex left and right have values And you may not really be able to see the difference as much on those because they're both at very small values. But anytime an asymmetric morph is applied, it's going to apply, if it chooses bicep flex left, it's going to apply a smaller value to right. And that's because, especially with some of the things like the obese morphs, you can get really lopsided figures. So it will make it asymmetric, but it will try to keep the figure somewhat balanced, so it doesn't have one massive arm and one teeny tiny arm. But as you can see, in addition to a lot of the normal morphs, it's mixed in a bunch of these, partly because that's most of the morphs I have on Dusk at the moment. So that's what's going to happen with full body morphs. So I want to show you one more thing. We'll go ahead and we're going to choose this version of Dawn, and we'll go to her face camera. And so this version, she's got creature morphs applied, and you can do a lot of fun things with the creature morphs. So of course, if I do all head and face, we should get something strange. Yep, there we go. Yes, something strange. Again, I can see what's happening here. What I want to show you though, is a few of the morphs. When you're trying to do a realistic figure like forehead, you may not get much with just the normal realistic morphs. I'll get some interesting things though on the forehead with the creature morphs. And so if you're trying to use this and you don't seem to see much happening, a lot of morph packs don't heavily use the forehead area, but the creature morphs do. Now, the other thing along with that is, so for instance, we can do things like that. And this is, again, if I want to create some sort of strange creature, I can now decide I need some ears added in. Actually, let me do this. I just want to do the ears. I can apply that. We've got some pretty cool ears going on. And again, you can use this to refine your creature, or let's say these ears and this forehead is what I want my creature to look like. But I want to give them different nose, chin, jaw, all of these guys. We're going to say no. And you can see now that I have a lot of different things going on. Now, it looks like because this has some morphs that affect the closing of the eyes, a few of those did get mixed in there. Those are easy enough to clear out if we want. But so that gives you some idea of how you can use this, just a quick idea of the different ways to apply the script. And like I said, full details on how all of this works is in the user guide. All right, thank you and goodbye.